Everyone ignored the single dad in 12F until his signal made the F-22 pilots salute a general. The cabin of Flight 12F was freezing. The overhead vents hissed as if they were whispering complaints, and passengers huddled in layers, grumbling under their breath. In the middle row, a single dad named Mark Reynolds, mid-30s, with unkempt brown hair and tired eyes, fumbled with his toddler daughter's blanket. She was only 3 and the plane's chill seemed to seep through her tiny jacket. "Seriously, can't you keep it down?" muttered a woman across the aisle, eyeing Mark's daughter's restless movements. A man a few rows back snorted, shaking his head. "Why do you even bring a kid on a flight this cold?" Mark forced a smile, nodding politely, his hand brushing his daughter's soft curls. He didn't answer. He had long learned that strangers often judged him before they even knew his story. Today, he only wanted to keep his little girl warm and safe. But then something unusual happened. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some turbulence. Please remain seated." The plane shuddered slightly. Outside, through the small oval window, the sky was a deep gray, clouds like steel walls. The little girl whimpered, and Mark instinctively held her close. As the turbulence worsened, Mark noticed the emergency exit sign flashing oddly. He reached for the light panel above his seat and realized a small mechanical switch had popped out. For most, it would seem insignificant, but for Mark, it was critical. He remembered seeing this exact panel during his brief stint as a Navy volunteer instructor years ago. If the indicator wasn't reset, it could interfere with the plane's communication system. He calmly moved, kneeling to adjust the switch. Passengers around him whispered, some rolling their eyes, muttering, "Look at this guy, thinking he's a hero." Mark ignored them. All that mattered was the safety of his daughter and everyone aboard. Moments later, a distant rumble caught his attention. High above, streaks of F-22 jets sliced through the clouds. They were performing a routine military exercise, but something seemed off. One jet veered slightly, then another, and then all of them formed a perfect V, following the plane's signal. A flight attendant gasped. Those jets, they're responding to the plane's transponder. Mark, still kneeling by the panel, realized what had happened. By fixing the minor mechanical misalignment, he had unintentionally sent a precise signal pattern, one recognized by the military, that flagged an aircraft in distress. On the tarmac below, a general in his crisp uniform raised his hand, and every F-22 pilot executed a formal salute mid-air. The cabin erupted into stunned silence. Passengers who had mocked Mark moments ago now stared in awe, some even whispering apologies. Mark simply returned to his seat, holding his daughter, her little hand clutching his finger. She giggled, unaware of the chaos that had just unfolded outside. One woman leaned over. I'm sorry. I judged you." Mark smiled softly. "It's okay, just keep her warm." The plane landed safely. Media outlets later called it the day the single dad warned the skies, highlighting how one small act of calmness and care prevented potential disaster. But for Mark, the real victory was quieter. He had kept his little girl safe, showed kindness under ridicule, and reminded everyone that heroism often wears ordinary clothes. As the passengers filed out, a young boy whispered, "I want to be like him when I grow up." Mark knelt, ruffling the boy's hair. "You already can be. Just look out for others, that's all it takes." And in that simple gesture, no medals, no headlines, Mark showed that courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just holding someone's hand and doing what's right. After the plane touched down safely, Mark and his daughter stepped onto the tarmac. The crisp air of the airport hit them like a wave, and for the first time in hours, Mark could breathe without the tension of turbulence hanging over him. News crews were swarming the runway, cameras flashing, microphones shoved toward him. "Sir, can you tell us what happened up there?" one reporter asked. Another shouted, "How did you stay so calm?" Mark hesitated, looking down at his daughter, who was now pointing at the jet still circling above. I just did what I had to do," he said softly. "I was thinking about her. That's all?" Despite his humility, the story spread like wildfire. Headlines praised a single father's quick thinking, highlighting that heroism isn't always in combat or accolades, but sometimes in small, decisive acts of care. Social media exploded with hashtags like Kwon Dad Who Saved the Skies and Everyday Hero. People from the USA, UK, Canada, and around the world shared the story, many noting how a parent's love had prevented disaster. But the real impact wasn't in the fame. At the airport, a woman who had mocked him on the plane approached timidly. "I owe you an apology," she said, her voice trembling. "I judged you. I was wrong." Mark smiled, kneeling to meet her gaze. "It's all right. We all have our moments." Nearby, a uniformed officer approached and handed him a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten note from the general himself. "Your calmness and quick thinking are an example to us all. True courage isn't always in the spotlight. It's in protecting those who depend on you." Mark's daughter looked up, eyes wide. "Daddy, did the airplane salute you?" "They did, sweetheart," he said, hugging her close. "And that's just for being kind." Later, as they walked through the airport, a little boy tugged on Mark's sleeve. "I want to be like you," he exclaimed. Mark chuckled and ruffled his hair. "You already can. Remember, it's not about being in the sky or wearing a uniform. It's about helping someone when they need you." Mark's story became more than just a viral moment. It became a lesson in humanity. People who had ignored him or laughed at him now saw a different truth, that a single parent, facing judgment and fatigue, could still change the world in small but profound ways. And so, Mark returned to his quiet life not for recognition, but because the real reward was in his daughter's smile, the calm reassurance of doing right by others, and the reminder that every act of kindness, no matter how unnoticed at first, can ripple far beyond what we imagine. Even the F-22 pilots, flying high above, never forgot the man in 12F. And somewhere deep in the skies, every salute carried a quiet acknowledgement. Courage and love are sometimes the same thing,